Flight 611 began like any other cross-country journey. Passengers settled into their seats, adjusting blankets and headphones, flipping through magazines, or quietly chatting. In Seat 9B, a young girl named Emily, around 10, hugged her stuffed rabbit close. She had been looking forward to this flight, a family trip to visit her grandparents, and the excitement lit her eyes. The sunlight streamed softly through the windows, bathing the cabin in a warm glow. Flight attendants moved gracefully down the aisles, offering drinks and snacks, exchanging polite smiles with passengers. The hum of engines created a steady, soothing rhythm, almost like a lullaby. Emily's mother leaned over, adjusting her daughter's seatbelt, unaware of the small tension building in the girl's sharp eyes. Emily noticed the subtle blinking of a panel above the flight attendant's area, the faint flicker that didn't match the usual cabin lights. Her fingers pressed lightly on the armrest as she whispered to herself, "That doesn't look right." For now, it seemed minor, easily dismissible. But sometimes the smallest observation is the first sign of something larger. Emily's quiet awareness would soon become the spark that changed the entire flight. An hour into the flight, turbulence shook the plane lightly. Most passengers barely noticed, shifting in their seats or gripping armrests casually. Emily's gaze remained fixed on the blinking panel, which now flickered more insistently. She tugged gently at her mother's sleeve. "Mom, that light, something's wrong." Her mother smiled softly. "It's probably nothing, sweetie." But Emily couldn't shake the feeling of urgency. The flight attendant, passing down the aisle, paused briefly to check on passengers. Emily took a deep breath and spoke up, pointing toward the cockpit panel. "Excuse me, ma'am, the light isn't normal." The attendant glanced, initially brushing it off, but something in the girl's tone, calm yet insistent, made her stop. A low rumble of engines echoed through the cabin, and a few warning indicators flickered on the flight deck monitor. The subtle unease Emily noticed moments ago had now become visible to the crew. Passengers murmured quietly, sensing tension even before full realization struck. Emily's intuition, a mix of sharp observation and instinct, had drawn the first line of awareness that might prevent a catastrophe. The flight attendant, a woman in her late 20s named Sophie, walked briskly toward the galley, her eyes flicking toward the cockpit. She communicated with the co-pilot via intercom, double-checking the instruments and confirming the anomaly Emily had noticed. Passengers remained largely unaware, some reading, others scrolling, while subtle panic began to ripple through those seated closer to the front. Emily remained seated in 9B, clutching her rabbit, watching Sophie act with calm precision. The crew discussed the situation in hushed tones. The blinking light indicated a minor but critical system misalignment. Not immediately dangerous, but if left unattended, could escalate. Sophie remembered her training. Sometimes the smallest voices, even a child's, hold the most crucial insight. She turned to the cabin, addressing passengers gently but firmly. "We may experience some adjustments. Please remain calm." Emily's mother looked at her daughter in awe. The girl's awareness had prompted immediate attention, and the flight attendant's trust would set the course for handling the situation effectively. Sophie and the co-pilot collaborated to correct the system anomaly, their movements precise, voices steady. Emily watched intently from her seat, her small hands gripping the armrests. The cabin lights flickered softly as the autopilot adjusted. Engines hummed with tension, and the plane shifted slightly against the airflow. Sophie occasionally glanced at Emily, giving a subtle nod of acknowledgement. The girl's earlier observation had been the trigger, the first domino in a sequence of calm and effective action. Passengers began to sense the professionalism and composure radiating from the crew. Nervous chatter faded, replaced by trust in the adults managing the flight. Emily's confidence grew as she realized her instincts had mattered, that a small voice could change the trajectory of an entire plane. Outside, sunlight broke through scattered clouds, illuminating the wing tips and casting dynamic reflections across the cabin interior. Every motion, every instruction was deliberate, calmness and precision became contagious, and the potential crisis was slowly neutralized. The plane adjusted altitude and course under Sophie's guidance. The blinking lights now stabilized. Emily watched the horizon through the window, patches of blue sky breaking through gray clouds. The co-pilot followed every adjustment flawlessly, guided by Sophie's leadership and the child's initial observation. The cabin exhaled collectively. The subtle turbulence now felt routine. Passengers whispered thanks, exchanged relieved smiles, and some clutched hands with nearby travelers. Emily's mother reached over, hugging her daughter softly, pride shining through her eyes. For Emily, it wasn't about recognition or reward. It was about knowing she had contributed to something important. Sophie walked down the aisle briefly, giving Emily a reassuring smile, acknowledging her role silently but powerfully. The plane now glided steadily, engines humming smoothly, as the flight approached a calm and safe cruising altitude. The runway appeared in the distance, golden sunlight reflecting off the tarmac. Sophie guided the plane gently, executing a flawless landing. Applause erupted inside the cabin. Emily's small hands clutched her rabbit as passengers cheered and some wiped away tears. The crew received gratitude from passengers, but the quiet hero remained Emily, the child whose instinct had set everything in motion. Sophie gave a subtle nod to her, an acknowledgement of courage and awareness. Emily's mother whispered, "I'm so proud of you." Outside, the golden afternoon light bathed the plane and tarmac, cinematic and serene. For the passengers, the flight became unforgettable. For Emily, it was the first lesson in responsibility, courage, and the power of a keen, observant mind. The ordinary child in 9B had become the silent guardian of Flight 611, proving heroism often comes from the smallest voices.